Gomez and Company welcome former SU quarterback Eric Dungey thanks to Liverpool Pool and Spa on the flagship station of SU football, TK99 and TK105.
Eric, good morning. How are you today?
I'm good. How you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
A couple of notes. I think on Wednesday you were going to get the A-OK to get behind the wheel again. Did that all happen for you? Are you mobile?
Yeah, got A-OK. Can start moving my neck a little bit, starting feeling a little better. So week by week, improving a little bit more, and I actually feel really good. No more pain and no more just chronic discomfort. So feeling good and feeling optimistic. So at least that was a little positive from last week.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well, on to the game tomorrow, and we were just discussing right when you popped on there that it's family weekend, and I think isn't it just there's used to be like homecoming weekend and parents weekend. Is it just all lumped into one big thing and just family weekend, kind of all encompassing?
Yeah, unfortunately for us, like it didn't really make any difference for us. I feel like the crowd's obviously going to be a little more packed, a little more rowdy. But it's just, it's going to be a good bounce back game, I think, for Syracuse. I think it took all of us by shock, the final outcome. And there was a lot of meat left on the bone, and just some plays last game that we wish we could have back, and some crucial turnovers. And you got to tip your cap to Stanford as well. They came ready. They came ready to play, and they made the plays they needed to down the stretch, and really just made some big conversions. But ultimately, I think Syracuse beat Syracuse last week.
And as the saying goes, don't let the same team beat you twice. I don't think that will happen this weekend with Holy Cross in the Dome. But we'll get to that in a moment. But I also wanted to get your thoughts, Eric, on the other part of what's happening in college football that started with the UNLV quarterback deciding, in this NIL era that he was not happy. He didn't think that UNLV was fulfilling their obligation. And so he's decided to move on. And, the number 23 ranked team in the country, and he's the starting quarterback. That's a pretty significant move, but that has been followed up since then with some other guys in similar positions getting ready to head into a game where if they play, they can't use their red shirt season. But how does this play out? Where does this end? Is this just kind of the start of this part of the NIL experience?
Yeah, I think once they get some regulations on everything, and I think they're starting to, even with the lawsuit that's going on, it's tough because as a college quarterback and as a college athlete, if you're guaranteed a certain amount of money, then, that's what you're expecting. And when expectations aren't fulfilled, then obviously it's going to leave you feeling a certain type of way. It's really changed the landscape of college football now. I mean, I couldn't imagine leaving as the starting quarterback on one of the top 25 teams in the country, Group 5, and you're trying to make a playoff run now with this new 12-team playoff. It's just, some would call it a selfish move, but at the same time, the kid has got to take care of himself. Me personally, I would figure it out. I would have an agent figure it out. Hey, this is what I was on, or this is what, I was told, figure it out, but I'm going to still playing with my guys because, you don't want to throw away any future opportunities. And at the end of the day, you're there to play football. But again, I guess I just, in a different mindset, and I didn't have the opportunities that these guys have now. So I think it might create a little ripple effect, but I think ultimately for these guys who see, a future and they want to play in the NFL, they want to do these things, then I think they'll have other guys work it out for them. That's what you have an agent for. That's what you have a staff. And if it's more of a business, then that's what those guys are for. And your job is to solely focus on football. So can I say I blame the UNLV quarterback and some of these guys? No, I can't. But at the same time, you got to get your priorities straight and really realize, hey, is this worth it in the long run? Or should I just grit it out and then understand that it will be worked out eventually.
You think it's a bad look? To me, it kind of reminds me of when guys started to sit out if you were playing for a team that was in a bowl game, but not one of the major bowls, and just a nice postseason bowl game. Guys who decided to not play because they didn't want to get injured before maybe having a shot to play in the NFL. Now I kind of get that. The first time I heard that happening at the time, and I don't remember who it was, but I remember thinking, well, that's kind of a selfish thing. But then over time, I kind of get it. And sort of the same thing with this. It's like, why would you quit your team, like you said, in the position that you're in? But the more I think about it, I kind of get it. If that's not, what was agreed to, then you got to take care of yourself.
If you're a top draft pick, if you're going to be going, first, second, third, fourth round, then that's a decision you make during that bowl game. If you're not playing for a national championship or something that really has some meaning behind it, but bowl games are fun. It's one of those things, especially for a program that's hasn't had success in the past, and now you're finally able to reach that threshold. It's a really fun experience. It just depends on the guy, but. Again, it would rub me wrong if one of our guys, just got up and left as we're going through the season, especially as a quarterback. You're the cornerstone of the team. So I'm sure he's rubbing a lot of his teammates the wrong way. It's going to look like a very selfish decision. But again, he's got to do what's best for him, and it's the new wave of college football. I just, personally, I just couldn't get behind it. And I just think wherever he goes now, if he does go back to UNLV, if they're able to figure it out, I just hope that it doesn't really cause any ripples in the locker room, that, as a quarterback, you want everybody behind you and make sure that you're able to lead the team. And it's just really just seems like a personal decision on that standpoint.
Well, on to the task at hand for tomorrow. As you said, a good bounce-back game for the Orange, and a team, on paper, it shouldn't even be close, and a chance to get a lot of the backup players in the game and seeing some action. But having said all that, what do the Orange kind of need to be aware of or keep their eye on, as to not sleep on a team like Holy Cross?
Yeah, you know what? And again, it's going to come down to the Orange beating the Orange. I think Kyle, he's going to learn from, some of the decisions he made. And again, I think the first interception, that pick six, it just looked like him and Dan were, having some miscommunication there. And I think he was expecting Dan to do something that Dan did not. And then the second, just, an underthrown ball and just two timely interceptions. And that ultimately didn't lose them the game, but it just put it too far out of hands. I think they made the comeback down the stretch, but again, with especially the ACC, you can't let a team have hope. So for them, they just got to work out on closing the game. Then the costly penalties too. They can really be a drive killer, and I believe they had 7 for 70 yards, which again, that's a lot of field position giving up and some opportunities that were lost there. So ultimately, this is a good game to kind of tune up, get a bounce back. It is the fourth game under, Coach Brown. So for them, they really just got to make sure that they're buttoning up their own side and, making sure that they're comfortable and then just playing disciplined football, which I know they will. And it probably hurts last week, but like you said, you can't let a team beat you twice. And I don't think that's going to happen against Holy Cross, but just making sure that we're looking cleaner and feeling more comfortable as we move into a tougher part of the schedule and start playing some road games too, which are a huge difference. When you don't have the dome behind you, it's going to be a lot more difficult when things are a little louder and you got a hostile environment. Really the mistakes are amplified at that point. So make sure that you're playing clean football going in before then.
Eric, good stuff. Thank you. As always, we'll check in again on Monday morning. Hopefully a big win, an impressive win tomorrow to talk about on Monday. But have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.